Here my question of the day for you is, do you get headaches or migraines with your fibromyalgia? So for many fibromyalgia sufferers, this can be one of those all-consuming symptoms, or it can be one of those other symptoms that just kind of contributes to this day in, day out constant misery that often just makes life more miserable and means more medication, more drugs, more over-the-counter meds, right? And that's a huge problem, right? Because taking these medications themselves often causes health problems all by itself, and it's likely keeping you in the clutches of fibromyalgia. Even these over-the-counter medicines, they call NSAID drugs like ibuprofen or acetaminophen, these cause thousands, and I mean thousands, of deaths every year. They cause over 100,000 emergency room visits every year. Just these over-the-counter medicines. They're not good for us. Not only that, but they cause damage to the body. They actually cause liver damage over time. They can lead to not just liver damage, but intestinal damages. So further leading to gut problems. They can cause you to get ulcers. They can cause internal bleeding ulcers, which in turn, of course, makes you need more medicines to treat the ulcer. So it is very, very important that we get to the bottom of this, not just headaches, all these symptoms, but let's check about headaches today and where are some of these major causes. So I've gotten into addressing fibromyalgia in stages, understanding how to address the whole body and in the proper order so that one system feeds the next. The whole body starts treating itself and keeping itself strong. So when we get into that first stage, we're looking at the immune system and factors that affect the immune system. And one of the major causes here is actually chronic sinus problems, chronic sinus infections. A huge percentage of our fibromyalgia clients will complain about this. They'll have to be on antibiotics multiple times every year just to get rid of these sinus infections because they cause so much pain. But not only that, they're causing chronic headaches. And the big problem here is that because they're getting these sinus infections over and over, it's likely an indicator that they have not only a weak immune system, but their body is retaining pathogens. That some of these pathogens are not being killed by your body. They're not being killed by the antibiotics that you're taking. And so they're just hanging out and waiting for the next available opportunity to strike and cause another sinus infection. And of course, cause chronic sinus congestion and headaches along the way. And then of course, the need for further damaging medicines or further antibiotics, which just further damages the body. It's very dangerous, as you can see. You know, another cause here in this first stage is actually the cold or the wind getting on our neck. Now, I've mentioned this previously, but when your immune system is weak, you can't properly adapt to the external elements. So if it gets very hot or if it gets very damp, we have barometric pressure changes. It causes pain. It causes swelling in the body. And then for most people, there is an inflammatory process here. For most healthy people, it's not even felt. People don't even notice it. But if you are unwell, even a simple breeze like from an air conditioner on your neck can cause your neck muscles to tense up to the point that it'll cause pain and eventual headaches. Now, let's dive deeper in the body. So we've kind of looked at the exterior, we've looked at the sinuses, we've looked at the neck. What about the digestive system? That's stage 2. Now, some of you probably already know a lot of these. They're very common food triggers. So some big ones, including red wine, chocolate, sadly, and processed foods. These contain ingredients, first of all, ingredients that we really shouldn't be eating anyways, that can actually be direct triggers of headaches. Not only that, a less known cause of chronic headaches is actually blood sugar irregularities. And a lot of people don't realize this. You don't have to be a diabetic in order to have blood sugar problems. All you have to do is have a bad diet, and it causes your blood sugar to spike up and down like this. This is why people get that morning fatigue. They're already reaching for something to eat at 11 o'clock or maybe 1 or 2 in the afternoon because they had a bad breakfast. Their blood sugar is dropping and their energy tanks, their mood tanks. Maybe they get a headache from it. When people have this as a primary cause for their headaches, I'll often see them waking up with headaches, maybe in the middle of the night or in the morning, or they're getting headaches later on in the day when their blood sugar really starts to crash. I had a patient years ago that this was the issue, always getting headaches around 3 or 4 in the afternoon because the blood sugar was dropping. So I had to teach him how to eat in order to prevent this from happening. You know, a good trick for this, something I mentioned in our video yesterday. Eliminate the processed sugar and the simple carbohydrates from the diet. This will keep the blood sugar from spiking so much like this, and it can be as simple as that to get rid of the headaches. You know, when we start to get further in this, we start to look at then going into stage 3, right? So when your blood sugar goes up and down, I mentioned that it can influence your mood, your stress levels, right? So when we get into stage 3, stage 2, building into stage 3, treating the whole body again, we're starting to look at stress as a major factor. A lot of people know this already. Headaches, migraines, yes, migraines is a big one. Now, when you've got stress, you've got irritability, anger, or even rage, this will lead to headaches. Very often it'll lead to headaches and often eye problems over time because it creates inflammation. This term, blind with rage, I'm sure you've heard this term before. It literally comes from this process where you get angry, you get upset, and it starts to increase inflammation. So you're angry, you're yelling, you're screaming, and eventually the inflammation starts to cause the retina in your eye to detach. It can cause literal blindness. So if you're noticing this, you're stressed, upset, and you're starting to notice visual troubles or visual changes, maybe spots in your vision, it's time to start managing stress a bit better. And stress can also lead to a lot of muscle tension. So we talked about the immune system causing muscle tension, but when you go into a fight or flight state, could be at work, could be, who knows, a fight at home, and your body increases these fight or flight hormones to tell you to, okay, either run like hell or fight your way out of the situation. Now, if you're in a business meeting, that's not going to work, right? If you are at home dealing with a child, a spouse, probably not going to work there either. So you end up having to stay still. And these hormones are still there, telling your muscles to amp up. And so you start to get more tense. Your shoulders start to come up like this. You can actually feel this if you pay close enough attention. You can feel them starting to burn and tense like this. And that will cause headaches. It'll cause all this muscle tension. What's even worse, it'll cause your posture to get screwed up over time, especially if you're at work or if you're sitting there on a phone all the time. You're sitting here at a desk like this all the time, hunched over. So not only are you screwing up your posture this way, you're getting tensed in these postures, so it's holding you there, screwing up your posture over time. And that can cause whole body tension, which can in turn screw up the way that your joints take the impact of normal movement, which will cause arthritis over time. So stress, bam, there's a cause of arthritis right there. So we're covering arthritis now too. And these posture problems, actually, you can actually get them from your digestion as well. You get enough bloating or long-term digestive problems, you get all this bloating there, and it starts to screw up the way that you sit or stand. And it causes you to do this thing again. And now just imagine this. Picture this, picture holding a bowling ball. So you're holding a bowling ball just like this. Piece of cake, right? Most of us could hold this for a pretty good length of time. Now imagine holding the bowling ball out to the side like this. Now, unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, your arm's probably going to start to drop within a minute, right? Because it's very hard. It's harder to hold it here, the exact same amount of weight than it is here. Now that's just like your head. The average person's head weighs 11 or 12 pounds, and we are designed to hold our head like this with good posture so that it sits on top of our skeleton. But now if you're like this, or like this, or like this over time, you can start multiplying that weight by 2, 3, or 4 times. So over time, your neck thinks that it's holding a 48-pound object out there, and it's holding it there all day long. So now your neck muscles are incredibly fatigued, they're incredibly tight, they're overstretched, and it starts to cause these headaches. It's not a very fun scenario. So you can see, we're dealing with not only stress, we're dealing with posture, we're dealing with digestion, all causing these same things. You can see why a whole body approach is pivotally important when we're looking at something like fibromyalgia. We can't just manage symptom by symptom. We have to literally look at the entire body altogether. Now, stress going further, it'll start to impair sleep. I've mentioned this many times before, how elevated cortisol levels can cause problems with your liver. Not only that, but if you're taking a lot of these NSAID drugs, those are causing problems with your liver as well. And if your liver can't catabolize that cortisol well anymore, bam, you're not sleeping well. Or you're waking up between 1 and 3 a.m. So now you're more fatigued, and bam, this is another cause of headaches. You see how all these things get wrapped up in each other. How you can't just look at one thing, how you can't just take one supplement or one drug, because we're literally dealing with how the whole body works. All of these systems of the body, they work together. And if there's a disharmony occurring, it creates this awful downward spiral, right? One system negatively affecting the other, causing exhaustion, pain, God knows whatever symptoms, hot flashes can get in the mix there. Brain fog. So it really is important. It's important that we find those problem areas and we create breaks in those chains so that rather than all these systems gradually degrading each other, we're going like this. Our body is supporting itself. We are supporting a firm state of health all over. So I've just got one more, and one more common cause of chronic headaches and migraines, and this is actual damage to the head. So, car accidents, concussions, this type of thing, which will cause damage. It'll cause headaches. It'll cause bruising or extravasated blood within the skull. And this is the kind of thing that really does need to get addressed. It, from somebody who knows how to handle this kind of thing, because over time, headaches is just one piece of it. It can cause neurological problems. It can cause visual changes over time. It can start to cause memory impairment and just literal brain damage. Whole movies have been made about this very subject and what it causes over time. Balance issues, that's another big one. So hopefully this starts to shed a little bit of light on where this is at, where you can start looking in your life, what's going on in your lifestyle that might be causing or perpetuating these issues, okay? And how this can start to improve the outlook with fibromyalgia.